The Free State landscape gladdens my heart, no matter what my mood. When I am here, I feel that nothing can shut me in and that my thoughts can roam as far as the horizons. Nelson Mandela said that, and it's true for me too, even today. The first white residents of my hometown couldn't pronounce the Sotho name Shosholoane, so it became Clockerland. It's a town with two worlds, the farm world and the township world. And I live in both. It's here in the town's small business center that people from these two worlds come together. And it's here that the invisible children were first seen. How long had they been around? No one seemed to know. That's the thing with those that are invisible. You look right through them. Maybe because you don't want to see. Because seeing implies acknowledging. And acknowledging implies responsibility. And that's a burden you don't always want to bear. Until one day your heart cannot take it anymore, and you see.
This farm has been in my husband's family for decades. We are the third generation farming here. Farming family after family have built it up to something really special. We've been blessed. Still, it hasn't been easy.
I live in Shosholoane my whole life. I was born here, went to school here, married here, and buried 2 children here. I will probably die here too one day. People are mostly friendly and peaceful. But there is a darkness at the heart of our community, and that darkness has a name: poverty.
When we harvest asparagus, it's very intensive labor, and we had to fetch people from Lesotho. So they said to me they would love to do knitting and spinning and weaving, and they can do it because they've been taught in Lesotho. They started weaving and they started doing wall hangings and carpets, and and we taught more people to do it. It goes around, you know, if one is better, yeah, it affects the whole community at the end. The weaving project spiraled into more projects, all of them changing our community in some small way. And then we became aware of the problem with the children.
They were street kids, abandoned, forgotten. No one seemed to be taking care of them. Most of them had one parent from South Africa, one from Lesotho. Many parents have died or disappeared.
The kids are born in South Africa, but the father mostly just disappear, and the mother came through the border with many of them with no passport, and they don't have, you know, ID, so they can't register these kids.
There are so many children here that not have this birth certificate, that don't get the grants, so they struggle too much.
The children are not allowed to go to school without birth certificates in South African schools. So it is a problem, you know.
Tankiso and Mujalifa are brothers. Their parents are both from Lesotho. They both died when the brothers were young. A kind-hearted local woman took them in, but she hardly had enough food to feed herself.
It bothered me, these kids begging at the grocery stores.
We felt sorry for them because we don't know where these children come from. We don't know where they live.
And whose problem is it? I can't really say.
So I think when I help maybe one of them, it will affect all of them, that I help this one, but I don't help them.
When Marita said she wanted to start a learning center for these children, I knew I wanted to get involved. There is definitely still a big difference between the farming community and the township community. We live on the farms and we don't always understand where people come from and what their situation is like. And I think if people realize the circumstances, you know, these kids live in and where they come from, people would have a lot more understanding.
Marita phoned me and told me about her plans and stuff. There was no promise of payment, no guarantees, but I know I had to help. Because they are kids, they are innocent. And then I think they must be given chance.
The idea for Lututeng Learning Center was born in the same year Nelson Mandela died. I was there on the first day. I remember the excitement of kids going to school for the very first time. and among them, Tankiso and Mujalifa. I was so happy to see them.
Ne ke batla motho eno a mphe thuto teacher gobane thuto ke yone e bohlokwa lefatsheng teacher eo tswellisang pele ka bophelo.
Good morning, class. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Excitement, yeah. Excitement. I could feel the gratefulness for having a school and belonging somewhere.
From my childhood, I was loved to be a teacher. Yes. So I grabbed that moment that I'm going there and teach these children. It was so hard because they are 18 years old, but they don't know even how to hold a pencil.
Bye, mommy. Bye, mommy.
When I was at school, my mother was struggling she was unemployed. And then Mama Rita was collecting kids from the township, and then we were doing bits, and then we were getting paid. Because I was given a chance back then, I think it will be better if I do something for other people, for kids, for the community. We can teach them what we know, what we have, so that they can have hope also. I want to give them education, not to be involved in gangsterism, have kids while they are young and stuff. I want them to become somebody.
It's really daunting to start something like this, but you have to start somewhere. And a good place to start is to give them something to eat. You can't expect a child to read and write and, compose beautiful poetry if they do it on a hungry stomach. So what I try and do is just help where I can. With many people in the community, I try and help and just supply some of the basic food needs.
Food donations from local farmers were so valuable. We started giving kids a decent meal when they came to school. We could immediately see the difference. The children performed so much better on a full stomach. The center was growing beyond our wildest imagination. More community members came forward and offered time, money, and skills. I became a vice principal. To see these kids develop was extremely satisfying. But it wasn't without problems. We were quickly running out of money. The building we were in was old and falling apart. But there was an even greater obstacle. Most kids were not aware of the discipline and commitment required at the school. With no parents to support them, many just gave up. One morning, Tankiso and Mujalifa's seats were empty. They had gone back to Lesotho. And all the time there was a nagging question in my mind. What's going to happen once these kids leave school? Yes, sir. Won't they just fall back into hopelessness if they can't find jobs? And then it struck me. The answer was right in front of me. The answer was me.
His grandmother came to the farm to work here. She came from Lesotho. I took him to hospital because he was very ill. I just felt bad to give him back in that situation, and she was very happy so that I could care for him. And this is how he's still in our lives. Yeah, he calls me mother, so he's like my child.
I was an orphan, a potential street kid, an invisible child, and someone saw me and gave me a chance and believed in me. It's like a blessing to me. It's like God gave me something. He gave me a second chance. It's a blessing because I see life more in a positive way as well, where I can encourage others that are like down and whatever, that don't have no hope at all. Nelson Mandela would have been proud of what we're doing at Letuteng. We're giving these kids hope. But that's not all.
2.5 million rand was donated by National Lottery operator.
When Madiba became president, he immediately set out to build clinics and community centers and schools, especially schools. He always had time for children. He saw them, but he never did it alone. He got people to unite around a common cause, and in doing that, they forgot about their differences.
This project has opened my eyes.
It absolutely brought people together.
Here we are a family.
You know, opened up channels and communication.
I think we have so much in common, love for these kids.
You know, she took responsibility for the school, and I think it's wonderful.
Marita, she's a strong woman.
Since Vicky started working with us, there is a lot of changes.
Drive safely. Will do. Bye-bye.
She is a godsend. She loves running.
And Hilda runs, so We come from very different backgrounds, but at the end of the day, we just normal women who like similar things.
Tankiso and Mujalifa are back. There was no one to look after them in Lesotho. One of our volunteer teachers has taken them in. Ma gives him money every month to help with their expenses. The rest is now up to them.
Teacher, ke batla ho ithuta teacher gore ha ke hola mona teacher gona le dintho tse ding teacher tse ke di kganang tse batho ba di etsang. Ke batla ho halla ho ba bo leponisa teacher. Yo teacher ke batla ho thusa le bana teacher ba etsang teacher se ka ha le shela ka thusa bana ke le leponisa di tlo thusa bana ba la hlileng botseng teacher ba sa tseme ba yang ke tla banka teacher ke bo ise mono be ba tla ho ka po ke ba khutlisa mahabo bona morao teacher.
Hlohlolwane and Tlokolela. We may say it differently, but it's one place. Yes, there's still the farm world and the township world, but we've brought them closer together. The change started when we looked at the invisible children. And saw them.